Hello, everybody. It's me, Alec John Bell. I am here today to do another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about progressive Christianity and why I decided to choose progressive Christianity for myself. Because for a while, I didn't identify as a Christian, even though I grew up in a Christian home. For a long time, I identified as spiritual, and then I ended up coming around to Christianity when I found progressive Christianity. So I am not going to tell my whole story again because I already did in a different video. Two different videos, actually. One is titled How I Became an LGBTQ Christian, and then the other one is my spiritual testimony. Both of them have slightly different information, but they kind of tell the same thing. And in this video, I want to specifically focus in on the 8 points of progressive Christianity, which I am pulling off of progressivechristianity.org. So this is like legit information. And these are the reasons why I chose. These are the points of progressive Christianity, and these are the things that I adhere to when it comes to my faith and my belief system. So to give you a brief rundown, if you don't know who I am, I struggled with mental health my whole life, and then struggled with my sexuality my whole life. Kind of I didn't reject the idea of God. I did believe in God, and I still did believe in Jesus, but I did not identify as a Christian. For a while, I was identifying as spiritual. I then had a spiritual encounter in the hospital. If you want to know about what that was, go watch my spiritual testimony video and the How I Became an LGBTQ Christian video. I had this spiritual encounter in the hospital, and then I ended up going down this spiritual path where I started studying kind of metaphysical things like chakras and meditation and yoga and crystals and things like that. And then eventually I settled back with Christianity, and now I identify as a progressive Christian. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the 8 points of Christianity. So I have these pulled up on my computer. I wish I was smart enough to be able to have this pulled up on the screen here. But if you go to progressivechristianity.org, you will be able to find this. It's the 8 points of progressive Christianity, and it's the 2012 version. I don't think there is an updated version. I think this is the most recent version, at least what I found. So I'm going to I'm going to move my laptop here kind of in front of me so I'm not like looking off to the side. So what does it mean to be a progressive Christian? I think progressive kind of gets like a bad term, like not a bad term. Progressive comes across as a bad term a lot of the time in life because it just does. Like, we live in a world where it's bad to be progressive. It's bad to want to make things better and make things different than how they used to be. This here says, by calling ourselves progressive Christians, we mean that we are Christians who, and then it goes into the 8 points. So point number 1 is that we believe that following the path and teachings of Jesus can lead to an awareness and experience of the sacred and the oneness and unity of all life. I completely agree with this 100%. I do believe that Jesus was the Son of God. I believe that Jesus' teachings were wonderful, as I'll be talking about further in the Universal Christ book discussion videos that I'm doing. I posted the first one just the other day, but I will be doing further videos, and in those discussions, we'll be talking about how people tend to focus so much on Jesus's death, but they don't focus enough on the life and teachings that Jesus actually did, the things that Jesus wanted us to do. So, That's very important to me. So the second thing is affirm that the teachings of Jesus provide but one of many ways to experience the sacred and oneness of life, and that we can draw from diverse sources of wisdom in our spiritual journey. I agree with this. I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. I do believe that Jesus' death did something for us. I believe that Jesus' death did save us in some capacity. Because what is the price of death? The price of death is death, right? But I don't think that Jesus is the only way. I think, how do I explain this in a way that makes sense, where I don't get immediately attacked? I think that Jesus is the way into heaven, but I don't think that Jesus is the only way that we can experience a closeness with the divine, if that makes sense. So, like Buddhism, I have been studying Buddhism a lot lately, and the Buddha was a very divine kind of human being. And even though the Buddha did not really align himself with this idea of a monotheistic kind of God, he still thrived in this sacred kind of divine way. Um, and if you look at like paganism, and the things that they believe in, and they value the earth, and which I completely believe in, valuing the earth and things like that. Like it it's I think it's so much more complicated than just being like, oh, you gotta believe in Jesus and that's it, and that's how it's gotta be, and whatever. I think there's layers to everything, and there's a reason why there's so many other religions and theologies out there. It's not just because all of the other ones are made up and Christianity is the only one that's right. It's because there's layers. It's because life is complex. It's because God is complex. And I'll get off my soapbox here. Anyway, number 3, seek community that is inclusive of all people, including but not limited to conventional Christians and questioning skeptics, believers and agnostics, women and men, those of all sexual orientations and gender identities, and those of all classes and abilities. So, as a gay person, this is a very important thing for me to be welcome in a community. And I loved Christianity my whole life growing up. But the thing that I struggled with was that everybody was always telling me that I was going to go burn in hell. And nobody was trying to help me connect with God. Nobody was trying to help me feel better. Everybody was just like, "Oh, you're just going to go burn in hell because that's just how God made you, and, it sucks to be you." That was literally how it was. And or they wanted me to push my gayness aside, my gayness. They wanted me to push the homosexual part of myself aside. This thing that's part of me, that's ingrained in my being. They wanted me to push this aside and be unhappy for the rest of my life so that I could get into heaven. And I don't think that's how God works, but I could do a whole other video on that if you want me to. Part number 4. Know that the way we behave towards one another is the fullest expression of what we believe. I agree with that. You have to behave. This is where it comes down to, is love. If Jesus's teaching was love, then we have to love one another. Jesus's teaching was not to hate people. It was not to torment people. It was not to tell people they're going to go to hell. It was not to make people feel bad. It was not to he made some people feel bad, but it wasn't the people that we thought it would be. Jesus's goal was never to, and I'm speaking from I am not just speaking, out of thin air here. I have read all 4 of the Gospels. I have read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, so I'm speaking from what I have read about the things that Jesus did. Jesus, I'm sorry, I can't talk today. I am speaking about what Jesus did and said. And he he behaved in a way that was loving and kind. And yes, there were a couple times where he got frustrated with people, and he but overall his intention was love and kindness. And you know what, like, that's what we need to stick with, and that's what we should be doing with one another. Number 5 is find grace and search for understanding and believe there is more value in questioning than in absolutes. I agree with this completely. I have so many Christian people in my life who think that they know everything, who think that there is no way who think that they know everything there is to know about God because we have the Bible, because the Bible says this, and this is how it's laid out for us, and this is like, that's it. That's done. That's just how it is. But it's not how it is. It's not. Life is so much more complicated than just what a book says. And you have to question things too. When a book has been translated so many different times, and I'm not saying the translations are wrong. I'm just saying it has been translated so many different times. So like, you have to kind of wonder, when it comes to certain circumstances, like with homosexuality, you have times like those rare cases where things are mistranslated. And the word homosexuality was not even in the Bible until the 1940s, because they didn't even have a word for that. The word, I'm totally going to butcher this, but the word for homosexuality in Romans, I believe, was the word arsenikotoi. I'm totally butchering that, which I think is a Greek word. And it's a compound word, which means boy and bed, which means like taking boy to bed. And Paul, who I believe wrote this, I'm sorry if I'm totally butchering this. It's been a while. I read this out of a book. But Paul wrote this, and he made up this word because there was no other word to describe this. So he created this compound word that meant boy and bed. And he created arsenikotoi. Again, totally butchering that. But it's been translated to now mean homosexuality, when in actuality, if you look back, it meant boy and bed, which meant taking boy to bed, which meant pedophilia. If you want to know more about that, read the book Unclobber by Colby Martin, and you can also read God and the Gay Christian by Matthew Vines. Just a little plug in there. And if you want to see a video on homosexuality in the Bible, I would love to do it. I would love to explain it more in a video. Anyway, number 6, strive for peace and justice among all people. That's very self-explanatory. Can totally get down with that. Number 7, strive to protect and restore the integrity of our earth. Again, going back to the earth, why do a lot of Christians not value our earth? Why is it to them that the earth is just like, it's just this planet that we live on, like, whatever. I think part of it is because they think, and this is just a theory, but I think a lot of Christians believe that Jesus is going to come back before things get too bad. So in their mind, it's like, oh, we can do all of this damage that we want because Jesus is going to come back before it gets too bad. So we can just mess everything up and everything's going to be fine. That is a horrible way of thinking. It is an awful way of thinking that we can just mess up this planet. And again, the book of Revelation talks about a new heaven and a new earth. But how literally can we take these things in Revelation? I would love to do a video on that too. I'm just like totally suggesting video ideas. If you want to see video ideas about this, I would love to go into it. But anyway, yeah, value the earth. We got to value the earth. We cannot just expect that Jesus is going to come back and save us all from the mess that we made. We cannot just create a disaster and expect our parent to come and clean it up for us. We need to not create the disaster, or try not to create the disaster. So can we stop like spilling oil into our oceans and setting fires to our like forests and you know what I mean? Like, why? I don't know. It makes me so mad. Anyway, I'm gonna calm down. Anyway, the last one, which I think is very important. It's very, very important. I think it's probably the most important of all. Maybe. Number 8, commit to a path of lifelong learning, compassion, and selfless love. I agree with this completely. Because you know what? Love is the most important thing that we can do for one another, for each other, for ourselves, for everyone around us. And that is why, these are all the reasons why I chose progressive Christianity. And, you know, I think that a lot of people are making the change. I think a lot of people are making the shift because people are realizing the problems that are within typical conservative Christianity. And I'm calling it out. I am calling it out. And I know a lot of people are going to be mad when they see this video. They're going to give it a thumbs down. They're going to give it a comment. They're going to tell me I'm wrong. They're going to call me I'm a heretic. They're going to call me all these things. But you know what? I don't care because I believe that I am doing the right thing. Love is the most important thing that we can do on this planet. And if love is not part of the equation, which I'm sorry, it's typically not when it comes to conservative Christianity, as I've noticed, love kind of takes a like a back seat with them, then that's not something that I want to be a part of. And for me, as much as I loved God and I loved Jesus growing up, I didn't want to be I didn't want to be known as a Christian because I was ashamed of the name Christian. I was like, oh my God, I don't want anybody to know that I'm a Christian. But now that I have found my place, I can very proudly say, yes, I am a Christian. I'm a progressive Christian. I'm someone that's making change. I'm someone that's fighting for love. I'm someone that's fighting for compassion and empathy. I'm someone that's fighting for inclusivity, I think might have been the right word there. I don't know. I'm a writer. I should know that. Anyway, the point is, I love being a Christian. I really do. I've loved being a Christian more now than I ever have in my entire life. And I'm very happy to be where I am today in my faith journey. And I'm happy to have been able to share this with you today. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you like it, give it a thumbs down. Either way, it helps me. If you like this video, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notifications whenever I post new videos. And I will see you guys again real soon. Have a nice day. Bye.